Okay, my friends, it's time to start. Welcome to our Total Engagement webinar. I am Flavio Ferrari from Brazil, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. This webinar is the result of Sevendots partners' experience on promoting business all over the world, and it was fondly prepared by a group of experts on social trends and business strategy. Some of them are here with us today. Regina Briggs from Germany, an international marketing specialist. Bruno Sfogliarini from Italy, expert on marketing and forecast. Rita Franco from Hungary, advertising and communication specialist. And Peter Williams from Holland, touchpoints and online innovator. We are going to talk about successful brands. When we look to those successful brands, a question comes to our minds. How does it happen? We are far from the times when one could believe in luck or God's will to explain results. There has to be one sole logical reason that justifies this success. One that if you follow, you win. If you don't, you fail. Something bulletproof. And let me tell you, that is. And that's why we are here today. The name of the game is total engagement. And then you say, come on man, another self-help business guru with a smart fence idea? Include me out of this. Well, sorry, but I have to name it. When I see what brands like Havaianas, Facebook and Nespresso are doing, I get totally enthusiastic. And we may believe that we could do the same for our brands and products. I know that there is a lot of good old marketing formulas to do what is right, and you know that. But you know how to engage consumers with nice ads, promotions, happenings, and other stuff. But we are not talking about doing right. We are not talking about some engagement. We are talking about leadership, winning the war, snatching hearts. It's about success. And there is a logic behind that, isn't it, Dr. Bruno?
Flavio, there are three logics. As the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies has stated, the Dream Society logic, the industrial logic, and the creative man's logic.
Wow, that's really very interesting. And whose logics are that, Bruno?
Those are society's logic, so they represent the way the people are interacting with the world nowadays. The first one, the industrial logic, talks about the material needs that are satisfied, that can be satisfied through mass production and systematization.
Which means, in a sense, getting more for money, or like a big discount, something delivered to your door, or easy to find, or simply to download. Is that?
Yeah, Flavio, yes. But it's also about functional quality, availability, fair price. You know, it's the market of the quick and easy, the simple, the trustful, the one is typically found in the hypermarkets and mass merchandisers. On the other hand, on the other hand, the Dream Society logic is driven by emotional, mostly social needs that are satisfied through storytelling and exciting experiences.
This is, I would say, about emotional relevance, like Delicate Kiss, or Saving the Whales, or Get Wings to Fly, things like that.
Yeah, you got it. One case, for instance, is the market of adventures for sales, experiences, impressions, where a vacation in a foreign land, I don't know, Vietnam, can compete with bungee jumping and online computer games. Another example is the market of togetherness, friendship, and love, where human relations, where social media competes with cafe cultures and football fan clubs. Another example is the market for care, for peace of mind, for convictions, where you can put together, competing among them, organic food, home insurances, and body shop, for instance. But there's also a third logic, the so-called creative man's one, that is driven by needs for personal growth that can be satisfied through individualism and creativity.
That's authorship, participation, inclusion, making your own toy or personalized service, things like you feel that you are part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Flavio, there's a growing need for reclaiming the individual influence and creativity that people had before the industrial age stole to us. In addition, there is also a growing need for the Western people, the Western society, to be more creative in order to meet the challenges of the next times, the future. So the central idea of the creative man is that creativity and innovation will be more important in the future, in consumption, in leisure, but also in business and workplace, because we want it, we need it, and we can do it, particularly in the Western world. It is also driven by the fact that we are rejecting external authorities and we are more willing to decide our own destinies. Probably that's the most important trend of the next decade. You know, each one of those three logics we saw is able to provide reasons for engagement and justify the attraction of the consumer. For instance, in the industrial society, the consumer tries to get the highest value for money. So we are looking for discounts, for promotions. In the dream society, emotions and stories will make up an increasing part of the consumption experience. Then the creative man wants products and services that can personally adapted to his particular needs and desires. The fact is that products and services that only live up to one of the three logics have limited opportunities for creating profit. So if you want more from your product, you need to combine the three logics. For example, think of putting together industrial society and creative man. And what you got the so-called prosumer.
So what we're saying is that what happens if you put all the three logics together?
That's the point, Flavio. When a product or a service or a brand is able to put the three logics together, then the result is absolutely irresistible. You can't avoid it.
So that's what we call total engagement.
Total engagement, right, Flavio.
Yeah, that's nice. You see, as I said at the beginning of this webinar, there is really a logic behind this success. And this is the logic that Bruno told us, total engagement. You just have to tell a beautiful story to our consumers, invite them to be part of it, and prove that it's going to be, they are going to have more for the money. That's industrial part of the logic. And then bingo, total engagement. That's the name of the game. And then you say to me, well, it's easy to say, but it's not that easy to do. Well, it's really challenging, and that's why we brought Regina today with us. How do you do that, Dr. Regina?
Well, Flavio, then we have to come back now to the classical marketing, and the kind of model, for example, could be the petty path.
Isn't that another fancy word like total engagement, things like that?
It's a nice word, let's say it this way, and it means positioning, evolving, disrupting, and interjecting. And the four possible actions to prepare your brand, let's say, for the total engagement.
That's very interesting, but tell us more about that, about each one of those things, please. Okay,
let's start with positioning. Sometimes your product product or your brand, let's say your brand is ready to go to the market and you just have to invent or create a new story behind it and letting the consumer know and perceive what do you want to tell them about the new story.
Like those guys from Havaiana in Brazil did.
Yes, that's a great example. And of course, I love these shoes, as all women love shoes. But it's a perfect example for a very successful repositioning. It is a very old Brazilian product, previously positioned to a lower price and only for the domestic market. So it's a classical, let's say, industrial logic behind it. And they've repositioned the brand to make it international, to design it, to fashion it up, to bring different varieties. And additionally, they brought this personalization in it. So they included with the new positioning all three logics, which is a perfect example for successful repositioning, including all logics.
Yeah, as you know, I am from Brazil, and I saw this happen. It was very impressive. They had a very successful bet here. And what about evolving?
Evolving, and we all know that only repositioning is you can't have success only with repositioning in many cases. So you have to do something more. Sometimes you need to go deeper and change something to evolve your product towards a new need.
It's something like what those guys from Nespresso did it recently, isn't it?
Oh, they are very successful. They did it in an excellent, brilliant way. They were coming from a very traditional, classical Nescafé, so industrial approach, classical cafe, let's say, without so many emotions. And they evolved the brand Nespresso, or they brought the brand Espresso to the market, selling also a dream, an experience. When you enter the shops, you have the special services, you have the colors of the caps, you have different tastes and flavors. So they had the industrial logic, they had the creative approach, and they had, of course, the experiment which you can have with the product. So they did one step more than just reposition. They evolved the whole brand, including all logics.
I really love that case. I have a machine of that in my house, and I drink tons of Nespresso coffee. I really love it. Just a short message. Karina, one of our attendees, is complaining about the volume. She said it's too low. I'd already checked it, Karina. We are at the maximum volume, so probably something that you have to fix on your own computer. Sorry about that. And Regina, tell us something about disrupting. This name sounds very interesting, disrupting. It's a very nice word.
Yeah, disrupting, there are cases where you have to be really challenging and break all the walls, all the rules, where positioning or evolving is not enough. You need to be disruptive, go where nobody was before. Sometimes you call it even go to the blue ocean. We call it disrupting.
I really love this kind of situation. And I think that is something that the guys from IBM did recently too, isn't it?
Yes, IBM, they did it in a very clever, inspirational way. They almost recreated the company from scratch based on the client's needs. With computers, they started in an industrial approach, logic. So they were on a competitive field. They had nothing special. But then they changed and they went to the business-to-business market and kind of consultancy approach, looking for the personal needs of the management and the companies, caring for their IT problems, giving them solutions. So they invented the industrial logic and brought it to an experience world and to an individual approach. So very clever approach and very successful approach.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting case because I think it shows us that B2B is not always B2B. It's normally B2P. There is somebody on the other side of the company that we have to work with him and engage this executive to be part of our business tools, not only about technology. And we have a lot of recent examples of very high technological things that were not successful, like you see on that slide over here. It's really a situation where they probably didn't get the right positioning in the total engagement. And the last of the four letters that you told us, interjecting, stands for what?
The E from the PADI, the interjecting. That E stands for introjecting, which is something which a lot of companies don't consider in first position, and it should be, because it's thinking first about internal situations. So the total engagement you need also internally with your whole company, with your whole spirit. That means the logics you have external, thinking about brands and bringing it to the consumer, you need to start also within your company.
I think that's good to remember that, Regina. And it's probably the reason why Facebook, Apple, and Tata, just to mention three nice companies in this side, really are constantly innovating to engage consumers, isn't it?
Yes, they are very good examples. And as we know, the people inside the company, they live the brands. Apple is a perfect example. They give, I think, half a day or a day per week to their employees to think creative, just not to work, to think about new approaches. So they give them the moment, the space to experiment, the freedom to think out of the box. And these companies, they live the logics. Apple brought the design and the technology, and this is only possible if you give the people the freedom and if the people are totally engaged also within the company. And these are the good examples for showing having success internally and living these logics also internally. You have it externally immediately.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Or easier, let's say it easier.
Yeah, it's easier, not easy. I agree with you, but I had the opportunity to work on some companies that had introject and get this idea of total engagement as part of their mission. It's really easier to work on that kind of company because you have people all the time looking not only to the consumers, but to all the stakeholders and thinking about how to get them motivated to the success of the company. It's really very nice to have this idea of interjecting the concept.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Regina, for your lessons. It was awesome. Very interesting and very important to know how to do the things. Sorry. And my friends are attending to the meeting now. I think you know how to do the total engagement. You just have to get the consumer, then surround the consumer by the three logics, and then through the PADI path, get the success for your product. So it's not easy, but it's easier when you know how to do it, and that was the meaning of our meeting today, to share with you the idea and the concept of the three logics and the PADI path to make easy to everybody to get there. So if you want to ask some questions to one of us, to one of our specialists before going home and start making more money out of that, we are here for that. Or you also can later on send an email to each one of us or to Sevendots to reach us. And just to share with you, after we prepare that job, I'm using a lot this concept on everything I do, not only to our clients and not only to products, but in day-by-day stuff. And right now, when I go to a client or when I'm doing something, when I'm talking to my team, I really think, well, am I providing to those guys something that is value for their money? It's part of their dreams, and am I inviting them to participate? And I'd like to share this with you. It works. If you think based on the three logics, you get people engaged to your ideas, not only to your product. It's a very nice piece of thought to have it. Okay. And it's time to end. We hope that everybody enjoyed the meeting. Let me say that it was a great pleasure to be with you today. I really like it. I'd like to have it more, with more participation with everybody doing the presentation like we do in a normal seminar, but it's not possible yet through internet. So that's the way we are able to do it. And if you want a copy of this presentation, please send us an email to any one of us that was part of the group, or address our website, www.sevendots.com, and we will be glad to share. Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Bruno, for your valuable insights, and thank you for all of you that joined us in this beginning of the evening. Goodbye, so.
Ciao. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you to everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.